Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VTuber Tabletop. I am your humble dungeon wizard, Merlin the Magister. Say hi, Yume.
Lore. I am you're not so humble. Sometimes game master. Used to be anyway. If you guys didn't know, we're streaming on both Twitch and YouTube at the moment. So
Yes, we are
exciting.
multi-streaming. Let's go, gamers. Yes, hi to any viewers over at YouTube. I don't know. I don't think we have any, but if we do, thank you. It was a test run. I thought I'd see if it worked, and it did. So pretty cool. We are back to discuss some more 1D&D. Are you excited for this week, Yume? This is the big one.
Yes, I am very excited because D&D. Well, the biggest thing about D&D is making your character. So now we're getting expert classes, which I at first thought these were like the difficult classes, but
No.
now I realize that these are the classes that get expertise.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
So, today we're going to be going over the, probably the most important part of the thing. You can now officially playtest this stuff. Although I'm probably not too keen. I would prefer to test out the entire system after it's all been released, as in like after all of the Unearthed Arcanas with all the classes. Just because I would like to see how they all functioned together. But we do have our expert classes, so today we're going to be discussing the Rogue, Ranger, and Bard, which I know you're pretty excited about to get your claws into the Bard.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to all three of them because originally Ranger was done expertise class, right?
I believe. Let me just grab my player's handbook, which I just left at my desk after last week. I knew I'd have to go get it again.
Because as far as I remember, Rangers were not.
I do believe they did get expertise. I do believe. What's this one? That's Paladin. Ranger. Here we go. No, they did not get expertise.
Yeah.
They
so
feel like the
been added to
classes
this
should get
list.
expertise.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It does make sense.
And I did look a little bit ahead, and I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are on certain things. And I guess also the chats, because some stuff got switched around, some stuff was added. So very curious.
So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it. So this document, 3 classes: Ranger, Bard, Rogue. Feats. So now we get to grip our hands into more of the non what are they called? The first level feats. So now we're getting into the higher level feats. We get to look into the spell lists, and we get a little bit more into the rules glossary. So yeah, all right, let's start. Do we need to read all this stuff? Not really. I think we should touch on class groups because this is new. So we have experts, which is
groups.
Oops, sorry.
I was gonna say the class groups. It doesn't seem like they have much actual practical use other than just categorization, right?
I think this is more what's the word? It's been brought in for maybe new players to the hobby. Who maybe don't, they might not know. So when you're pitching, to a new player, being like, all right, do you want to play like an expert kind of character? Like, they kind of know what they're doing. They've spent their whole life training, or like, practicing a certain set of skills. Would you prefer to play a mage, a priest kind of character, or a warrior, right? It kind of groups characters into into sections so that you can kind of, zoom in on specifically what a new player might want. I think for us, old hats at this, people who are relatively experienced with D&D, it doesn't really bring much, not really much point for it. But I don't necessarily hate it.
Like it says, there's no low class group has no rules in itself, but prerequisites and other rules can refer to these groups. So it's like an easier way of categorizing things so that they're more easily referred to. I'd say.
So, give me one sec. I'm just playing some music. I just realized it's just us chatting. Alrighty, chat. Can you hear the music?
Astrid Arcana.
Astrid Arcana. Hi, Guildmaster. Nice to see you. Yes, I think the music might be a tad too loud. Cool. So, let's get stuck in to the Bard. Let me grab my player's handbook.
So, for all those who don't know out there, Bard was my first ever D&D character. And so, very curious to see, looking at it now, if I would still do it, knowing everything I do now. D&D 1.
Awesome. Oh, I just need to turn on my lights. I didn't realize how dark my room was until I tried to start reading this book. Oh, yeah. Alright. So, Bard, same as before. Invoke magic through music, dance, and verse. I do like how they've opened it up to more than just music, and getting in there with more of like that spoken word, like poetry side, and dance. I love the idea of a breakdancing bard, like my favorite image. They believe, I'm gonna skip over the lore stuff mostly. The Magic Bards is an attempt to harness magic through words, which transcend any language. So yeah, pretty much the Bards have stayed the same. Basically, they are mostly, musical skill mastery and also a knowledge of just worldly information. A bit different to how wizards kind of like study. Bards go into the world to find secrets. Bards
Street smarts versus book smarts.
I think it's more like bards go out into the world to write things down, which wizards then read sometime later. That's how I've always interpreted it.
Yeah. Moving on to the, I guess the class features. Or creating the bard.
1d8.
Points are still the same.
Still the same?
Still the same, right?
Saving throws.
Charisma.
I would have liked to have seen intelligence here, personally. I think.
Why intelligence over dexterity?
I just think that they go out in the world and they're experts in their craft. So I don't necessarily hate dexterity. Dexterity is useful, but I would like to have seen maybe a little bit of deviation from this. But I understand it from like a performance kind of, situation. I understand. It's just, not what I would have taken.
Do you think it would be interesting if all classes had a proficiency, like a chosen proficiency saving throw, and then the other one was maybe a lesser version of proficiency, but you get to choose it?
That'd be cool. I'd like that. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think that adds, again, a little bit too many steps. So, let's get into the features. Bardic Inspiration is very different from what it was before. So, it no longer gives your allies a d6 to add to a... Oh, wait, no. It still does. That's my bad.
Wait.
Yeah, no. That's my bad. So Bardic Inspiration has an additional use. So it still does the boosting of a d20 test, So, you know, you give someone Biotic Inspiration and they can use that D6 to add add whatever they roll to their attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks. But you can also use it immediately after another creature within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear. This is new. See or hear. Takes damage, and you can use your reaction to roll Biotic Inspiration and restore a number of hit points to the creature equal to the number rolled. Something interesting here is you can basically, if someone goes to 0, you can use this to bring them back up. This is after damage has been rolled.
What is Cure Wounds? Is Cure Wounds a D6 or a D8?
Cure Wounds is a D8, and Healing Word is a D4.
Okay.
So it's in the middle.
So it's like in between.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, actually, I would say.
You don't get your spell modifier, though, whereas with Healing Word, it's a D4 plus 3. So I think, numbers-wise, Healing Word is still better. However, you do get to do this as a reaction.
Yeah, it is a reaction, so I would say that's the part that really gives it a lot of use.
I think we haven't seen the cleric yet, but with this new use of Bardic Inspiration, I really see the bard now more as a much more of a support class than it had been previously. Before it was more like, oh, you've got to take the right spells as a bard to, you know, do the support stuff. But now with this immediately gives bards a place in the hashtag healing gang. So, yeah, I definitely see bards taking their place, rightfully so, as kings of support.
And then, let's see. Has it always been recharging after a long rest? Or?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. And then it also levels at 5th level, 10th level, and at 15th level.
I guess if you look at it like this, then, since it does scale, which I did forget, Bardic Inspiration does that, it does make it better than the other healing spells long term at later levels. Mm-hmm. So, what I would like to see is maybe you able to use your Bardic Inspiration to instead use it as like a bonus action on your turn, as opposed to a reaction after someone takes damage. That could be interesting. But for a first level ability, I think this is fine. I think it's really good.
Reactions. Does the reaction have to be in reaction to an attack?
Yes. So the condition is, immediately after another creature within 60 feet of you takes damage. So
there's always like creative things that you can like potentially do, like, hey, can I hit myself and then the part heals me?
Yeah. I wouldn't allow it, but it again depends on the deal. So Bardic Inspiration looking good. It got, if anything, a slight buff from 5th edition. We're not going to read this. Spellcasting pretty much is the same as before. The only difference now is that they are prepared casters and not learnt casters. Which means that at the end of a long rest, they can replace any of their spells after a long rest. They can constantly basically change their spells to the situation, which is cool.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Second level, Expertise. This has stayed pretty much the same. Basically, they get to double their proficiency in 2 skills.
It also says if a creature rolls your Bardic Inspiration die and gets a 1, that use of your Bardic Inspiration isn't expended.
Oh, that's fun.
As in it, yeah. That's
Where
pretty
does it
cool.
say that?
It's like right below. Oh, actually, sorry. I'm reading this wrong.
Okay. Cool.
It's still kind of throws me off how it goes to the next column. Yeah, I was reading the wrong thing.
We have the Songs of Restoration, which is new. So basically, you learn healing spells at 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th level. And basically, you just know them. They're always prepared. Again, adding bards to #support gang permanently. This is way better than Song of what's it called? Song of Rest, which sucked. Very niche. So basically, in its place, Song of Rest was basically the bard can play a song during a short rest and everyone heals an additional d6, which isn't very useful long term.
It seems like one of those things where if you have the campaign where you take a lot of short rests, it gets a lot of mileage. But if not, then it doesn't get any mileage at all.
Yeah. So I think getting rid of those abilities is probably the right move, right? Because you want to tailor make classes to be able to have some utility in all different kinds of games. You know what I mean? All bards are going to be using Biotic Inspiration and these Songs of Restoration. You know, all bards will have access to these spells. So I think this is a really, really good direction to take it in.
I do wonder though, right, if this potentially doesn't, or if this potentially does almost shape the bard into the support classes, whereas so like almost giving the people the expectation like, hey, you're a bard, how come you're not healing? But maybe you want it to be a bard that doesn't necessarily heal, right? Do you think that will be an issue?
I don't think so. Just because we've already seen that with the cleric. You know, it's expected that clerics take support skills, but there are a lot of clerics that don't, right? There are a lot of clerics that are very efficient damage dealers. So I think as long as the group's aware, I think what this does is beforehand in the original 5e, the bard doesn't really have a defined role, right? It was kind of this jack of all trades, you know, you get a little bit of everything, which made it very underwhelming compared to other classes, right? And that is some of the point of the bard, but at the same time, I think if you look at it, right, there are bards who are going to be damage dealers. Overwhelmingly, right, if you look at our other classes, we've got rogue, they do damage, that's their job, right? Or if you look at it like an MMO, you've got DPS, damage per second, you've got your support classes, your healers, and then you have your tanks, right? And I think that the bards previously were in this weird place where they weren't really any of them, and it didn't give them a lot of direction. Whereas now, there's direction, right? There's a job that this class can do, and of course there's going to be people who do something different, and that's up to them to do. I just think before the class was very underwhelming and didn't really give the bards a whole lot of tools to do anything. You know what I mean? I think the main point isn't necessarily that this pushes bards towards being a support class. It's giving them tools to do a job that previously there were no tools for it to do, right? It didn't have the tools to do anything, really. Or not to do anything specialized, whereas this gives it a job, right? As a sub healer or as like a clutch healer, as opposed to, you know, a main healer like a cleric or a druid.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but I personally thought bards were like one of the strongest classes because here they get things at later level like magical secrets, where they can, you know, dish out some of the most powerful spells. And then they also had expertise in jack of all trades. So it's like, okay, I can also be the face of the party as well.
Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think the bard's
feel
bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just, and magical secrets have stayed, right? They've kept all that stuff. The issue is, they were taking stuff from other... Bards didn't really have an identity, right? Because they took from other classes, which isn't a bad thing, right? Because they could take wizard spells and druid spells or whatever. Cleric spells. But within the class itself, it didn't have any particular direction, right? The stuff that it's replaced so far, Song of Rest was pretty much useless overall. And it's given Bardic Inspiration, it's given you more things to do with Bardic Inspiration. So I think, overall, I think this is a good change. Regardless of whether a player uses it. They might be playing a type of bard that doesn't necessarily need it. But I do think that giving it a direction is better than no direction.
Yeah. I guess I enjoyed the fact that there was no direction and I could literally do everything. Like even Lucy right now as only a level 3 bard, and maybe it's not the most optimal way to build him, but as a level 3 bard, it still kind of supports all the other multi-classes that I've decided to take.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, it's very good in combination with other things, but by itself, it can't combo with itself. You know what I mean? And that's what most of the other classes do, is they can combo with themselves. Whereas the bard was like, couldn't really do that. Its subclass features didn't really fit into everything. So, third level, the bard subclass, that stays the same. Fourth level, you get to choose a feat, same as before. Jack of all trades has been moved to 5th level. This was previously a 2nd level.
Yes, that's where I noticed that.
Which is interesting. We'll see later on if all of the... We'll see later on if things have been moved. I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing. One of the cool things about bards is the fact that you got Jack of all trades. At such a low level. But, I don't know. Maybe they'll be trade-off. I do suppose in replacing that, you do get Songs of Restoration and a better Bardic Inspiration. So, it sucks, but I think it's an okay trade-off.
Once again, one of those things in the campaign where if you plan to end at level 6, then, it kind of switches where, like, the certain feats come in. And if that was something that you had valued a lot, Jack of all trades having in early levels, then maybe it's not necessarily the best thing, depending on the campaign.
Yeah, I think depending on what you want to go with, it might not be the best option necessarily now. But I do think overall, when people look at a class, out of combat stuff is more like sprinkles on top of the ice cream. You know what I mean? When you look for a class, you look at, okay, what can they do in combat? And then the stuff outside of that is a bonus. So I do think it's not necessarily a bad thing that Jack of all trades got moved to this 5th level. And it's not like they're hurting for abilities. Anyways. 7th level, Font of Bardic Inspiration. They regain Bardic Inspiration after a short rest, along with a long rest. And this is what you were talking about before. In addition, if a creature rolls a Bardic Inspiration die and gets a 1, that use of Bardic Inspiration isn't expended. That's pretty good.
And I think this used to be the 5th level feature, if I remember correctly.
I literally just closed my book. Let me get it back up. Font of Inspiration. Yes, this used to be 5th level, so it's been moved up to 7th, but the rolling a 1 really helps. That's a really cool addition to it. So I think moving that up 2 levels, but the rolling a 1 bit, I think that's pretty cool. More expertise at level 9. Very interesting. So that gives them 4 expertise skills all together. Did they get this many expertises before?
I believe so. And I believe that all the expert classes have that same pattern, where they get expertise at 2nd level and they get another expertise at 9th level.
Yeah. Ooh. Sweet. Now we get into magical secrets. So this has stayed pretty much the same. So basically, you get to choose a spell list: Arcane, Divine, and Primal. And whenever you prepare spells for this class, up to 2 of the spells you can prepare can be chosen from the chosen list, and from any school of magic. And otherwise follow the rules. So this is a little bit different, whereas before you just chose a spell and you always knew it. I believe.
Never got this far with the bard. So
Magical secrets. Here we are. Choose 2 spells from any class, including this one. A spell you choose must be of a level you can cast. They count as bard spells for you and are included in your spells known. Yeah, so basically, whenever you wake up after a long rest, you can just choose 2 spells from those lists. I think that's really powerful. This brings bards really into line to do some crazy stuff. I think making them prepared casters and being able to wake up and choose their spells along with this is insane. This is amazing. Because it's more than just choosing 2 spells when you get this, ability, and then those are the ones you're stuck with. Now, at the beginning of it, any day, you can just go, alright, I'm going to switch out Fireball for Disintegrate.
But bring this point up, though, because I'm not sure if this is a thing. When you are choosing your spells, and maybe this is just a DM thing, is there a way you have to kind of know the spells beforehand, or like acquire the spells beforehand in order to choose them?
That's only for wizards.
How it normally goes?
That's only for wizards.
It's only for wizards.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the really cool thing about wizards, I don't know, again, we haven't seen the wizards for this one. It might be different. Or D&D 1. But in 5th edition, they can learn any spell. Or basically any spell, because the wizard spell list is huge. It's got it's got like 80% of the spells that you can learn. So basically you go out, find spell scrolls, and then add it to your book. Which is really cool, but at the same time, it adds an extra step that none of the other classes have to go through. So I'm going to be interested to see whether they keep that in this one. So yeah, I think this is really powerful and actually a buff on previous magical secrets.
Yeah. Cool.
15th level, further magical secrets. So basically now you get to choose another spell list, Arcane, Divine, or Primal, and then choose another 2 spells. So basically at 15th level, whenever you finish a long rest, you can choose 4 spells. 2 from I guess 4 if it's from one list, or 2 from 2 separate lists. Which is pretty powerful. Again, being able to choose from those lists are pretty insane. Yeah, because I guess when you get to, again, I don't know when level spells. So by 15th level, like being able to wake up and choose an 8th level wizard spell at 15th level is pretty good. Superior Biotic Inspiration at 18th level. When you roll initiative, you regain 2 expended uses of Biotic Inspiration. That used to be the 20th level ability.
Yeah, and wasn't that only when you had 0 Bardic
Yes.
Inspiration?
Only when you had 0
Yes.
Biotic Inspirations, which was really shitty. And you only regained 1.
Okay, so yeah, that is really good, I would say.
Yeah, it's way better.
And especially if you have a lot of encounters.
Yeah.
Then you should be pretty good on that Bardic Inspiration if you can balance your usage.
And then at 20th level, you get an Epic Boon. Ooh, so we're going to see later on
Yeah, I've
what
seen
these
this.
Epic Boons are.
I once again took a sneak peek on the Epic Boons, and I'm a big fan of them because it lets you choose based on what you want and what you feel like your character would actually get, as opposed to everyone
getting the same thing.
Like if you're a druid, getting the same thing. So I really enjoy that, and I'm looking forward to looking over that.
Sweet. The Bard spell list. So these are recommended spells, basically. Overall, I think they're really painting the picture of a support bard. Overall, the vibe I'm getting from the spell list. Haste, Charm Person. There's a couple of damaging spells in here, like Shatter. But yeah, a lot of them are a lot of support spells. Freedom of Movement, Polymorph, Seeming. They're definitely 17th level bard. Power Word, Kill. See, this is what I'm saying. Getting to choose from the wizard spell list is pretty good. So yeah, overall, I think this is very solid. Thoughts on how they're painting the picture of bards as more support characters?
So I've always found them to be support characters in the fact that they can help in pretty much almost every single aspect. Like, for example, in combat, they have access to a lot of spells, which, at least in my experience, wasn't really like, you could choose to be the healer, but in my experience, it wasn't as I guess as efficient as opposed to like a cleric, or like a life cleric, or like a druid. And so you had the ability to do that, but I felt like most of the combat and support came from like control spells, or basically spells that allowed you to either debuff someone or kind of control the battlefield a little bit. And then on top of that, you could support in non-combat situations by being the face, and also having access to spells which could help you be the face and do all that stuff. So I personally liked having I personally thought it was always a support class. I never saw really the bard as the spotlight class, I guess.
Yeah. So I definitely like this idea. If you look at D&D really, I think it's kind of lacking in terms of magical support. Like, you have the cleric and druid, but apart from that, you don't really have anything else supporty. I guess a wizard to some extent, but I think this really gives the bard something to spec into, and basically to be a backup to the cleric if there is one, or the primary healer if there isn't. But it also gives them a lot of tools to do other stuff. Like, you can get Power Word Kill. Like, that's pretty pog.
Well, the 17th level, maybe just because in my experience, never really played high-level D&D, but it seems like it's something that's very rare.
Yeah, you don't usually get games that go up that high. No. You'll do one-shots, but it's very rare to get up that high.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's very solid. I think it's a definite upgrade for the Bard. And I think it's definitely better off after the changes from D&D 1. So,
yeah, I think it's definitely like a buff. Well, I guess it depends on a lot on for me at least on Jack of Trades. Because like let's say for example we were playing a campaign where the max level was 6. I don't think I would take the Bard because I don't feel like there's enough there in the first 2 levels that would make me want to like be a Bard basically.
I do think the first 2 levels are really solid. I think the only thing it's really missing is Jack of all trades, which is definitely a side grade, but I think apart from that, the first 2 levels are very solid compared to before. Apart from Jack of all trades. So I think the first 2 levels are really, really solid. I think it really drops off mid-level and then gets really good late. So I would think first 2 levels are really good. First 3, and then 4 through maybe 8. 4 through 10 are a bit underwhelming, and then once you're past 11, I think it gets really, really good again. Which you definitely have a lot of classes like. They go up and down depending on circumstance and whatnot.
And once again, it just really depends on the campaign, right?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen Druid or Cleric at this in D&D 1, but for example, clerics get their domain early, druids get their circle early, and if we were building for a support class, like druid and cleric usually offer much more. Once again, only in 5e, I don't know about 1, but they get much better support abilities much earlier on. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it depends on the campaign, and it also depends on I guess what you want out of the character. But basically my personal experience or my personal opinion is that if it's a level 6 campaign, up to level 6 campaign, I would not be taking Bard.
Cool. So now we're on to the only Bard subclass that is included, which is the College of Law. So this is the primary kind of Bard college. So 3rd level, bonus proficiencies, 3 extra skill proficiencies. This is pretty good. It's not amazing, but I think when you have 2 3rd level abilities, getting 3 extra proficiencies is pretty good.
Not much to say there.
You also get cutting words. So basically, when a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you succeeds on an ability check or attack roll, you can use your reaction to expend a use of Biotic Inspiration, rolling it, and subtracting the number from the creature's roll. I think this is awesome. Before I believe it cut damage.
I never played a College of Lore, so I would not know.
Let me have a look. Cutting words.
Consult the handbook.
Let me consult my handbook. Oh, so you can cut damage, abilities, or attack. So it's basically the same. So yeah, I think that's fine. Cunning Inspiration. When a creature rolls Biotic Inspiration, that creature can roll twice and take the higher of the 2. That's really, really good, especially when you get higher levels where where it's a D12, D10 or a D12. Improved Cutting Words. Whenever you use Cutting Words on a creature, you can deal psychic damage to that creature equal to the number rolled on the Biotic Inspiration die plus your Charisma modifier. That's cool. A little bit of an extra bonus. And Peel a Skill. 14th level. When you make an ability check and fail, you can expend a use of Biotic Inspiration, roll it, and add it to the ability check, potentially turning it into a success. If the check fails, the Biotic Inspiration isn't expended. That's amazing. That basically makes it very difficult for bards to fail. Or at least you get to keep your Biotic Inspiration. So overall, I think it's fine. Do I think it's amazing? No. I think it's okay. I think it's the most mediocre subclass ever. Let me look at what College
I think that's one of the
was
reasons. To my knowledge, it looks about the same as it was before.
So previously, they learned magical secrets earlier at level 6. They got extra magical secrets, which is really good. So
yes,
I think this is a downgrade and a little bit of a side grade. Slight downgrade, I would say.
Yeah. It's magical secrets just opened up a lot, so I would say, objectively speaking, it's probably not as good as before.
Yeah. So, overall, I think the bard's fine. I think it's okay. Again, I think they're kind of balancing out the power level overall between all the classes. It definitely got buffed in some places. The subclass definitely seems to have gotten nerfed a little bit. It's also early days. They might go back to the old College of Law. Who knows?
For me, who doesn't really care much about I guess power levels, if that makes sense. I just like looking to see if it's fun. And for me, at least, with just the College of Law subclass, it doesn't really call out to me, I'll just say.
It doesn't inspire me. What you're saying,
it doesn't.
Right? It's not bringing you joy.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. Nothing sticks out to me like, oh shit, I need that. And maybe it's because I've played a bard before, and yeah. But yeah, I think it comes down to the subclasses. Because I'd always found bard to really define itself with the subclasses.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, you had the College of, I forget which one it was, but the one with you can use the Bardic Inspiration to have like a certain stance, I believe it was called.
I believe that's swords.
College of Swords, and that always reminded me of like the Swordsman of Bravos, like from Game of Thrones.
Reminds me of
hey,
what's it called? The Princess Bride. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. That is a College of Bard Swords. Sorry, a College of Swords Bard to me.
And then you have like College of Valor, which almost made the Bard into like a frontliner. Well, kind of a frontliner. And then you had a College of Eloquence, which Lucy is now, where you just talk, like that's your thing.
Yeah.
And so maybe once I see the other Bard subclasses, it might make me more interested in enrolling a Bard. But as of now, with what they've given me, the Bard does not speak to me. And Hilda, Lucy was first a College of Valor Bard too, so he only became a College of Eloquence Bard after he was resurrected the 4th time.
Cool. So overall, Bard, bit of a side grade, bit of a downgrade. Obviously, we'll have to compare it to the other classes to see how it was affected relatively. I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing to downgrade it a little bit. I think
Ranger is the next one.
Yep.
I'm super excited about Ranger. I don't know if I'll roll a Ranger, but I see where they're at, and I really like it. And
They're
I
good
feel
now.
like,
Finally.
yeah, I feel like people will finally stop memeing on Rangers.
Yeah, I really hope so. I hope they find another class to meme on. I hope Warlocks become really bad. Everyone's a fucking Warlock nowadays.
Tiefling Warlocks?
Yeah, let's get some more fucking Rangers up in here. So, we'll go straight to abilities. Hit dice have stayed the same, I think. Were they a D8 before? Let me have a look.
They've always been D10s.
Yes, they have always been D10. That's stayed the same. Saving throws, strength, dexterity. Don't know how I feel about that.
Is that not how it used to be? Strength and
I believe it's
dexterity?
the same. I just don't think it should be strength. Let me have a look. Ranger, here we go. Yeah, same saving throws, strength, dexterity. I just don't know how I feel about strength being a Ranger saving throw. Skills, athletics, stealth, survival, or basically 3 of any. Let's get to the abilities. So, first level expertise, pretty good. We're in the expert classes, so it's what you've come to expect. Stealth and survival, great choices for Rangers to go into.
Yes.
Favorite enemy.
And the next one, favorite enemy. Holy shit. Man.
Oh, this is so good now. Okay.
So good. It
So,
is.
You always have Hunter's Mark prepared. It doesn't count against number of spells prepared, and it's also not concentration for you. This is amazing.
Yes. It's so great. And it gets even better too.
Yes, it does. It gets buffed at later levels, which is very, very cool. They get spellcasting at first level. This is the first half caster we've seen so far. Usually they get spellcasting at second level, so they've moved it up a level, and I think it's just kind of been staggered by another level, which I think's fine. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Second
Going
level.
back to
Oh, sorry.
favorite enemy for a little bit. Because I had told you, when we were still like figuring out what Adam would be, I was like, he's definitely a ranger, and his favorite enemy is humans.
Yeah, 100%.
And so yeah, giving this really cool thing to Hunter's Mark, I think is awesome.
I think I've kind of hinted about what type of individual he is.
Well, I don't think you hinted. I think you used something from there. And I was like, okay. I don't know if everyone's aware, but I know what he is. Because you've used abilities.
Cool. Fighting style. This is really cool. I think they had fighting styles before, so this is just building on that even more. Let me double check. I need to stop closing this book and just leave it open.
I believe they have the same fighting styles as before. Archery, defense, and 2-weapon fighting.
Same ones. Subclass level 3, that's the same. Extra attack, 5th level, same as before, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 7th level roving, this is new. I think this is
really good.
replacing Land's Stride. Your speed increases by 10 feet while you aren't wearing heavy armor. You have a climb speed and swim speed equal to your speed, and swim speed equal to your speed. That's amazing.
That's yeah.
They can just climb walls.
Before it was like, okay. Before it was like, okay, here's something that you get, that's kind of outside the normal. I think D&D has gotten away from that traveling aspect, and so I think this makes it a lot more. It gives it a lot more usage, I think.
I think now, if you need to like scout out like the top of a cliff, you don't need to Oh, thank you for the sub. I don't know how to say that name. You want to have a try?
Sai Son.
Why can't you? I member you on YouTube. I don't believe we have.
We're not partnered with YouTube yet.
I don't believe we're partnered on
1,000
YouTube
subscribers. Yeah, we need 1,000 subscribers. We're about 920 off.
Yep. If we can get 920 more subs, we'll be able to do that.
Yes.
We're only at 81 subscribers, so you'll just have to support us here on Twitch for now. But thank you for going to go see us on our YouTube. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Guildmaster has a good question. What are the climbing rules in D&D if you don't have climbing speed?
Great question. So how I would rule it is it depends on the height of the object. For me, if you can climb it in one turn, right? So, for example, if it's a 15-foot cliff or whatever, I would say you're moving difficult terrain. I wouldn't say you could perch there. You know what I mean? Unless you make an acrobatics check. If you have a climbing speed, you're just hanging on the wall, like whatever. So that's how I would rule it. I don't know what the exact rules are though. I think it would depend on a couple things, but I'm not completely sure.
There it says, while climbing or swimming, each foot of movement costs 1 extra foot, 2 extra feet in difficult terrain unless a creature has a climbing or swimming speed rules is written.
Yeah, so basically what I said, so half movement. So yeah, I think this is great. This is really, really good, actually. So it means they still move at half speed, even if it is difficult terrain through those things, which is still faster than everyone else. Yeah, overall,
They get, it's equal to their speed, right? Yeah. So if they
40
get
feet.
40 feet of movement speed, then they get 40 feet of climb speed and swim speed.
That's really, really good.
Which, if you think about that in real life, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, these are like expert rock climbers. Amazing. Which is what they are, really. 9th level, expertise. 10th level, another subclass feature. 11th level, tireless. So you get temporary hit points whenever you finish a short or long rest, which is 1d8 plus proficiency. That's really cool. It means it scales. And decrease of exhaustion. I think this is pretty pointless, if I'm completely honest. I know that they have changed the exhausted condition, but it wasn't really used previously, so I don't really see the point overall of using it. Personally.
I think it's one of those campaign dependent things where if you're playing a gritty realism type campaign, I feel like exhaustion is kind of like a DM thing, like hey, you guys fought a dragon, and although you guys lived, you guys are exhausted, or you guys have 1 level of exhaustion. So I think it depends on the campaign, but yeah, I don't think it necessarily takes away anything. I think if anything, if that is a part of it, then it does make sense for Rangers to have that.
Yes,
because
definitely.
They're used to doing stuff.
So yeah, so overall, pretty good. Not amazing. 13th level, Nature's Veil. I actually
do like the temporary hit points from Tireless, because it doesn't have a time limit, right? So essentially, you just have them until they go away.
You have them until you finish another long rest, in which case you get them back again. So overall, I think it's pretty good. It raises your max HP effectively per day, which is pretty pog. I think it's pretty good. What level do you get this? Level 11? So 4 plus a d8. That could be pretty good. That's anywhere between a 5 and a 12. It could raise your HP by. So overall, it's pretty good. But again, 1 hit and that's gone. So it basically eats 1 hit for you before you once you get into combat.
Which I would say can make the difference.
It can make a difference, 100%. Nature's Veil. You invoke spirits of nature to magically hide yourself from view. As a bonus action, you can expend a spell slot and become invisible. That's really good. Till the end of your next turn. That's insane. Basically...
Does that...
Oops, sorry.
Does that go away if you make any action, like an attack?
I believe so. So invisibility only, God, I keep yawning. Stop melon. Yeah, so if you make an attack or cast a spell, it goes away. So this is where I think a 13th level ranger, 7 levels rogue would be insane. Because you can give yourself sneak attack very easily. But now we're getting into multi-classing. Because you're only going to be really using your spell slots for Hunter's Mark, maybe this, and there are some other things. Maybe some nice support skills you might be using. But overall, I think this is a pretty good ability. 15th level, you get Blind Sight with a range of 30 feet. That's amazing. That's really, really good.
I just thought of something. Because now that Hunter's Mark is not concentration, I know some Ranger subclasses get haste. Now you can have haste and Hunter's Mark and just be doing crazy damage.
100%. Speaking of Hunter's Mark, 18th level, Foe Slayer. Hunter's Mark deals an extra 1d10 damage rather than d6. So Hunter's Mark gets a buff. And then 19th level feat, 20th level Epic Boon. So pretty good overall.
I believe they've made Ranger much more of a damage class.
100%, which is where it should have been. It was... And Ranger on release sucked. It was easily the worst class. It didn't really do a ton. It didn't have a defined role, like I said about the issue with Bard, which was many other people's issue with Bard. But not to the extent that Ranger sucked. This fixes Ranger. Even just base Ranger, this is really, really good. Lots of attacks, lots of damage. They can move in and out of invisibility, change where they are, hide very easily. Yeah, overall, very, very cool.
I think a lot of people who enjoyed Rogues in the past one will probably gravitate towards Ranger this time around.
Definitely.
If people were in Rogues for the big numbers, because I feel like Rogues, this one, when we get to them, have shifted a little bit. So
Rogues, I think, out of these three, have gotten the biggest nerf. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. So the suggested Ranger spells, they're pretty much what you'd expect. You know, your Guidance, your Thorn Whips, your Wounds, Hunter's Mark. Yeah. This is all Conjure Woodland Beings. Conjure Volley is a new spell. I think you conjure basically a bunch of arrows. And Tree Stride is a new spell. We'll get to the spells once we get to the bottom of the list. Overall, it's a pretty solid suggested spell list. Now we get into the Ranger subclass, Hunter. So we have, at 3rd level, Hunter's Prey. So, whenever you hit a creature with a weapon or an unarmed strike, as a part of an attack action, it deals an extra 1d8 if it's missing any of its hit points, which monsters are most of the time. And you can deal this damage only once per turn. This is insane. This is really, really good.
It's really good.
That means that's an extra d8 damage even if you're multi-classed with Rogue. Which, again, I think Rogue Ranger multi-classes are going to be really, really good in D&D 1.
I'm a big fan because I think once you've gotten your extra attack, and I don't know if they're gonna keep it the same way, but what was that subclass called? The Gloomstalker, right? Where a lot of their damage was kind of front loaded, and in that if you had the first turn, essentially you can almost like one shot people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like how they're going with this, where this is like the relentless hunter, where as soon as they've gotten like the sight or smell of you, then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Whatever it's chasing is dead.
We've got Hunter's Law at 6th level. You can call... Now, this is awesome. You can call on the forces of nature to reveal certain strengths and weaknesses of your prey. While it's marked with Hunter's Mark, you know whether the creature has any immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. That's amazing. That's really, really good. And again, this brings Rangers back to what it should be. I think this should be a base Ranger ability, personally. I don't think this should be specifically on Hunter. I understand why it's on Hunter, but I think this should be a part of base Ranger, personally.
Also, they didn't indicate whether it's like action or bonus action, how long it takes to do this. It just says you call on the forces of nature, so it seems like it's up for interpretation on how often you can use this and all that. So
yeah. Overall, amazing ability. This is awesome. 10th level, multi-attack. I don't know why this is called multi-attack. Conjure... There's a new spell called Conjure Barrage. Basically, whenever you cast it, you can downcast it, which is new. We've never been able to downcast spells before. And yeah, that's basically all it does. We'll have to look at the spell to see how good this ability actually is. But overall, I think it's a little bit underwhelming. Sure. Barrage. Under barrage. Oh, it doesn't look like there's a spell list in this document.
That doesn't explain what it is. Yep, it just has the words, but not what it actually is.
Ah,
interesting. Is it an actual...
It might be.
It's a new spell, you said?
Conjure Barrage. Might be. Nope, it might be a spell already. Might be my bad. I've never heard of it previous.
It says it's a 3rd level conjuration spell, takes an action, has a range of self, and you throw a non-magical weapon or fire a piece of non-magical ammunition into the air to create a cone of identical weapons that shoot forward and then disappear. Each creature in a 60-foot cone must succeed on dexterity saving throw. Creature takes 3d8 damage on failed save or have as much on successful.
Okay, 60-foot cone's insane. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's a cone of cold. Dex save, pretty common, but that's fine. 3d8 damage, that's pretty nutty. So overall, I think it's pretty good. I think it's okay. Being able to downcast it's always beneficial. Even 1d8 in a 60-foot cone, depending on how many like monsters there are, that's pretty Gucci.
Interesting.
14th level, Superior Hunter's Defense. When you are hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to halve the attack's damage against yourself, and you can redirect the other half of the damage to one creature other than the attacker that you can see within 5 feet of yourself. That's pretty cool. This is like, I'm getting the image of like Legolas, like getting hit by a sword a little bit, but like twisting his way, and then the sword hitting like an orc behind him. That's the kind of imagery I'm getting. I think it's good. I think it's very situational, but I think the rest of the abilities in this subclass make up for it. You can't have them all be bangers. You have to balance it out. I think the 3rd level and 6th level abilities are just insane.
This is kind of like a tweaked version of evasion, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because it only makes it for attack rolls, so not everything. Yep. And then you can also redirect it. So it's, yeah, I think it's really cool, and it does give that really good image, like you were saying.
Overall, I think Ranger is better than. I think Ranger is up there. I think it's an amazing class. Very well designed. Has a job, do damage, kill stuff. Claps, snaps all around.
Would you roll a ranger?
I would. After seeing this ranger, 100%. I'm keen as to play a ranger now.
Yes.
Cool. All right, now we move on to rogue. Everyone's favorite sneaky boy. So, hit points still on a D8, which is fine. Saving throws, dex, and intelligence. Everything else is pretty much the same. So, first level features for the rogue. Expertise, level 1, same as the other two. And sneak attack, the main feature of the rogue. The main reason you build a rogue. So, once on each of your turns, when you take the attack action, you can deal extra damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll. If you're attacking with a finesse weapon or ranged weapon, and one of the following requirements is met. You have advantage on the attack roll, or an ally is adjacent to the target. So it's pretty much the same as before.
Mm.
So, yeah, and then it's the same. You have a number of D6s. D6 is equal to half your rogue level. Yes, so it's the same as before. Rounded up. And then you add the dice together.
Has the extra damages type always been the same as the weapon damages type, or is that?
Yes. Cool. So that stayed pretty much the same. Thieves' Cant. You've picked up various languages in the communities where you've applied your roguish talents. You know Thieves' Cant, and one other language of your choice, which is pretty cool, which you can choose from the standard languages and rare languages table. So overall, pretty pog. Second level, Cunning Action has stayed the same. On your turn, you can choose to dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. Pretty cool. Another reason why I think Rogue Barbarians are going to be really good, because they can turn invisible and then hide. Is it pretty good? Well, I guess if they're hasted, they can do that anyways. Cool.
Would you want to hide? Well, I guess for the damage, but me personally, I like getting hit as a barbarian.
Third level, subclass, fourth level feat, fifth level uncanny dodge. When an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to halve the damage against you. Now this is interesting. So this includes spell attacks. As long as you can see them, you can still halve it. So that's pretty good. I believe it's been changed now, because I believe you could halve... No, I don't think you could have saving throws. Don't believe.
I don't think so. I think that would be really strong.
That would be insane. Let me just check though. Before, was it any damage? Yeah. Hits you with an attack. So that stayed pretty much the same. Expertise again at 7th level. Again, this has stayed the same. 9th level evasion. Whenever you succeed on a dex saving throw, you take no damage. When you fail, you take half. Very cool. 10th level feat. 10th level subclass. 11th level reliable talent. Whenever you make an ability check that uses one of your skill or tool proficiencies, you can treat a d20 roll of a 9 or lower as 10. So I believe that stayed the same as well. Level 13, Subtle Strikes. When you attack, you know how to exploit a target's distraction. You have advantage on any attack roll that targets a creature that is within 5 feet of one of your allies who isn't incapacitated. This is new. You can give yourself advantage now, which is amazing. That's really, really good. Definitely a good addition to the rogue's skill set. 5th level, 15th level, sorry, Slippery Mind. This has stayed the same, I believe. You gain proficiency in Wisdom and Charisma saving throws. Pretty useful. 17th level Elusive. You are so evasive that attackers rarely gain the upper hand against you. No attack roll has advantage on you while you aren't incapacitated. That's really interesting. I think that's new.
I'm not sure. I've never looked at Rogue to this point, so. But I do like this thing though.
Okay.
I've personally seen rogues as more than just, I guess, the sneaky type. I've always kind of seen rogues as like grandmasters, right? Almost like, well, I guess Batman's kind of like a sneaky type, but it's like, yeah, he's a sneaky type, but he can also hold his own, like if you corner him. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just yeah. I've never really seen rogues like that. I don't think. I see them more as slippery people throwing knives. You know, getting lucky.
And I think it's because, like, I see that because they have so much expertise. They're very smart. Like, they know what they're doing. And I think because when I hear slippery, I hear, or what the image that conjures in my mind is someone like who's maybe more like a bandit, right? But I feel like rogues can be like Sherlock Holmes, right? Sherlock Holmes could be a rogue. And he's not, I wouldn't necessarily call him slippery, but he's just extremely intelligent and he knows how to go about all of these things. And I think it's just the different images that I have.
So I've just looked here. So, Elusive has been moved from 18th level to 17th level, so that's been moved down a level, which is good. And 15th level Slippery Mind has stayed the same, except for adding Charisma saving throws. So before you just gained proficiency in Wisdom saving throws, now you get Charisma as well, which is pretty cool. Level 18, Strokes of Luck. So this was the old 20th level ability. So if you fail a d20 test, you can turn the roll into a 20. You can use this feature once and can't use it again until you finish a short or long. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, 19th level Feat, 20th level Epic Boon. Overall, Rogue has stayed pretty much the same. Some of the abilities have been moved around, but it's stayed pretty much the same. Subclass that they're giving us is Thief. Third level, Fast Hands has changed a little bit. So basically, you can use your bonus action of Cunning Action to takes the search action in, as well, which is new. It's a new type of action, and also make a sleight of hand check as a bonus action, which is pretty cool. Which includes picking locks and disarming traps, which is pretty cool. That's new. Before it was an action.
Would you say you can use sleight of hand to tie people's shoelaces together?
Sure.
Because that's super powerful. Because right, they would hinder their movement speed.
6th level Supreme Sneak. You have advantage on every every stealth check you make, provided you aren't wearing medium or heavy armor. That's stayed the same, I believe. Oh, I skipped one. Sorry. Second story work. You've trained to reach especially hard to reach places. You gain a climb speed equal to your speed, so this is cool. So this is similar to the Ranger. Which I would imagine a rogue is definitely used to, climbing up the sides of buildings. And jump distance. Whenever they take the jump actions, this is new. You can make a dexterity check instead of a strength check. That's pretty cool. And then 10th level, use magic device. In your treasure hunting, you've learned how to maximize your use of magic items. You can attune up to 4 magic items at once, so this is pretty cool. And whenever you use a magic item property that expends charges, roll a d6. On a 6, you can use the property without expending the charge. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Scrolls. You can use any spell scrolls that bears a cantrip or first level spell. And you can attempt to use higher level spells, but you must succeed on a Arcana check first. Sweet. On a successful...
This gives me a lot of oh, geez, sorry, continue. I'll say it after
On a
this.
successful check, you cast a spell from the scroll, and use intelligence as your spellcasting ability. On a failed check, the scroll disintegrates. That means you can use scrolls multiple times. Before, they disintegrated after a single use, whereas now you can use them multiple times, provided you don't fail your checks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to add that this subclass in particular gives me a lot of Emeth vibes, because sometimes I see Emeth as this person that really likes to collect different treasures and items, and yeah, I noticed that a lot of the items that she has have some kind of ways to expend charges, like the ring. And I could see Emmett just collecting treasure from that pirate background and then just using the treasure that she has.
Yeah. Cool. And then 14th level, Thief's Reflexes. You can now take a second bonus action on your turn, provided it's cunning action. You can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. That's amazing. That's insane. So now you can, yeah, you can dash. You can be anywhere you want to be.
What would you use? Like, let's say you wanted to use the bonus action for something that's other than like what's originally from cunning action, because it seems like from this you're allowed to double dash. Is that correct?
Yes, so you can double dash. You can take the disengage action. You can take the what is it? Disengage, dash. Let me find it. Dash, disengage, hide, and then there are a couple of other ones it gives you as well. So yeah, I think
from those, what else can rogues do with a bonus action though?
Not much. I think that kind of just opens them up to do more on their turn. You can also use the search action as well. The jump action. But they can do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and actually with 2-weapon fighting as well. They can use 2-weapon fighting and then still
dash.
Do the other bonus action disengage, yeah. Okay, cool.
Cool. So overall, pretty cool. I don't think it's necessarily a downgrade. I'm trying to remember. Now, the main thing with whatchamacallit, sneak attack, is it's only on weapon attacks now. Finesse and ranged weapons. Okay, so it's the same as before. I was trying to remember what's been nerfed about it.
Sneak attacks crit. I don't believe they can crit now, right? Because it's
yes,
only
they
weapon
can't
dice
crit
that
now.
can crit.
It's only the weapon dice. So that's the main thing that's changed. Is now, while sneak attack is really, really good at higher levels, at lower levels, it's very underwhelming. So, I think Rogue is definitely more of a scaling class now than it was previous. Cool.
And for some reason, I enjoy how Rogue looks like in this one. So out of these three, as cool as Ranger is, I would like to try Rogue.
See, I think, because I'm pretty sure Rogue is one of the ones that hasn't changed at all, really. Apart from Sneak Attack not being able to crit, I'm pretty sure they've gone relatively untouched. Because Rogues were deeply loved by the community. They were one of the most popular. So I think you're just falling in love with Rogue, much like how everyone else does.
And I think it's one of those things where I do enjoy trying out the things that won't seem as popular, like moving forward. So I think now that people have taken their eyes off Rogue and look towards like Ranger and other stuff, I'm like, Rogue looks really cool. Got to be different, okay? That's what it is.
I'm keen to try out Ranger personally. And I think people might be keen to give Bard a go as well.
I think the Bard loyalists will still be Bards.
Yeah.
I don't see them changing.
Pretty much.
It's not like a big enough change to be like, the class is ruined, I'm never playing this class again.
Cool. So now we get into feats. So we were keen last week to get a look at these higher level feats, see what's going on. Because I'm pretty excited to see what's been happening.
Yeah, it took a little bit of, like I said, I took a sneak peek, and it took a little bit of a different path than I was expecting. But not that it means it's worse, but it's a different path.
So, first up, we've got, oops, my metal D20 just went flying at me. So first up, we've got the ASI, ability score improvement. So you increase 1 ability scores by 2, or you increase 2 ability scores by 1. So it stayed pretty much the same. The Actor, 4th level feat, prerequisite. Now we're getting into prerequisites. There weren't really any prerequisites last week. So now we're getting into those prerequisites. Non-repeatable. Your charisma increases by 1 to a maximum of 20. When you're disguised as a fictional person or a real person other than yourself, you have advantage on performance checks to convince others that you are this person. Pretty cool. Mimicry. You mimic the sounds of other creatures, including speech. To mimic a sound or a way of speaking, you must listen to it for at least a minute. Anytime thereafter, you can make a DC 15 performance check to perform the mimicry. On a success, you can perform it convincingly for an hour. Pretty good overall.
It's really great for intrigue campaigns.
Yes, definitely. For political campaigns, that'd be amazing. Next up, we've got Athlete. Strength, Dexterity, or Constitution 13. This is interesting. Gives you a lot of different options for prerequisite. Doesn't just lock you into strength. You can increase your strength, dex, or con by 1. Could you keep reading this out? I need to let my cat out.
Climb speed. You gain a climb speed equal to your speed. Hop up. When you are prone, you can right yourself with only 5 feet of movement. And jumping. You have advantage on any ability check you make for the jump action.
I think this cool.
Has changed. This has changed from the original Athlete, if I remember correctly. Comparing it now. Oh, it looks like the only thing that really changed was the ability score increase. Now Constitution is an option. And the jumping has also changed. Where it says you can make a running long jump or running high jump after moving only 5 feet on foot rather than 10 feet, as opposed to how it is now.
Cool. So, overall, I think it's pretty good.
I think it's pretty good, although I don't know in what circumstance you would decide to take this, though. Maybe a barbarian or a fighter.
Maybe. If you're getting knocked down a lot.
Maybe it's because, yeah, and I haven't really seen jumping utilized very much.
Well,
So
to be fair, it's a new thing, so we might see it more in the future. So next up, we've got Charger. Prerequisite proficiency with any martial weapon. You have trained to charge headlong into battle, gaining the following benefits. Increase your strength or dex by 1. Improve dash. When you take the dash action, your speed increases by 10 feet for that action. That's pretty cool. Charge attack. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line immediately before hitting with an attack as a part of the attack action on your turn, choose one of the following effects. Gain a 1d8 bonus to the attack's damage roll. Yep. Or push the target 10 feet, provided the target you want to push is no more than one size larger than you. That's pretty good.
I don't think this has changed at all.
Is it the same?
I feel like Charger is still the same.
Cool.
I think so.
Regardless, pretty good. Crossbow Expert. Increase your dex by 1. You ignore the loading property of crossbows. It's the same. You can fire in melee as it was previous. Dual wielding. I think this is new. When you make an extra attack with the light weapon property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the extra attack if the attack is with a crossbow that has the light property. That's pretty cool.
Oh, have you ever played Diablo 3?
I have not.
So there's a character in there called the Demon Hunter where they dual wield like hand crossbows. I just got that image here. Oh, that's what the original thing was. When you use an attack action to attack with a one-handed weapon, you can use a bonus action to attack with a crossbow you were holding.
Yeah.
But now you get the ability modifier on it.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Imagine like the crossbow expert. You know how when they spin around with the guns and kind of like shoot at everything? Just saw that for crossbow experts.
Cool. Defensive Duelist. Prerequisite Dexterity 13. Unrepeatable. Increase your dex score by 1 to a maximum of 20. So parry. If you are holding a finesse weapon and another creature hits you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your armor class for that attack, potentially causing the attack to miss you. That's pretty cool.
Was this not a Battlemaster?
It might have been. They might have moved Battlemaster to this.
I do like it though, but it has a dexterity prerequisite of 13. So if you're a strength warrior and you don't have a 13 plus dexterity, then yeah. Then
I think even if you are going a strength build, I think it's always good to have at least a dex of 14, personally. Cool.
You just have to get to that point.
Dual wielder.
You have to then, yeah, heavy armor or dex.
Dual. Oh, sorry. We keep cutting each other off.
I said go ahead.
Okay. So next up, dual wielder. So prerequisite proficiency with any martial weapon, non-repeatable. Increase your strength or dex by 1 to a maximum of 20. When you are holding a weapon with the light property in one hand, you can treat a non-light weapon in your other hand as if it had the light property, provided that weapon lacks the two-handed property. Quick draw. You can draw or stow two-handed weapons that lack the two-handed property when you would normally be able to draw or stow only one. Pretty cool. Basically, you can have a rapier or a short sword in one hand and a dagger in the other. Same as before.
Slightly different in that before granted +1 to AC, but now it's an ability scoring.
Yes. I think all
what do you think is more
all feats gained give you ability score increases now.
Oh yeah, I just realized that. Would you have preferred the 1 AC though? What do
No,
you think
I
the
think
one ability score increase?
I think an ability score increase plus something else is better. And besides, if you're getting a dex increase of 1, you're getting an AC increase anyways. Usually. Most of the time, anyways. Depends, but... yeah, so there's that. Then we have Durable. Prerequisite Con 13, non-repeatable. Increase your Con score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Defy Death. You have advantage on death saving throws. This is really cool. This makes you very difficult to die. If you're bleeding out. As long as you're not getting stabbed on the ground. Speedy Recovery. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 of your hit points. Roll the die and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll. That's pretty cool. I like that. What do you think about that? Being able to use your hit dice during combat.
I think that's really cool. I almost saw it as like another second wind, almost. But no, I think it's really cool.
I think on Barbarians this is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I think on Barbarians will be really cool. Yeah, no, I don't know if there's any point where I'd take this, but I do like.
Cool. Elemental Adept. Prerequisites spellcasting or pact magic feature. Repeatable, yes, but you must choose a different damage type each time. So you increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Choose one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Spells you cast ignore resistance to damage of the chosen type. In addition, when you roll damage for a spell you cast that deals damage of one of those types, you can treat any roll of 1 as on a damage die as 2. This is amazing. So think for a second, right? If you're going as a damage sorcerer or warlock, and you take a bunch of fire spells, right? Usually, it really sucks if you're coming up against demons or, you know, like devils, right? Because usually they're resistant to fire. But if you take Elemental Adept, you can bypass that resistance, which is pretty cool. I think it depends on the campaign, but I think this could be really cool.
Yeah. For one shot that I was going to do, I took Elemental Adept and Draconic Sorcerer, the Red Dragon Bloodline. I was like, everything's on fire. So, yeah, I do like this. It doesn't say it ignores like invulnerabilities though, which would be
makes
really,
sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we're getting into 20th level feats. So we have Epic Boon of Combat Prowess, Prerequisite Expert or Warrior group. So this is cool. So now the groups are kind of coming into it on a gameplay like level. Non-repeatable. When you miss with a melee attack, you can hit instead. Once you use this benefit, you can't use it again until you roll initiative. That's amazing. That's really cool. I think on a Paladin, that could be pretty sweet. If you just need that, if you need to get a attack into Smite, it'd be pretty cool.
I will say though that I wish that there wasn't necessarily a prerequisite, because it's a 20th level feat, and I feel like anyone should be able to take it. And maybe it has a lot less use for wizards and magic classes, but like still, I think there shouldn't necessarily be a prerequisite for it.
Well, I guess actually, Paladins aren't in the warrior group; they're in the priest group.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They wouldn't even be able to get it. So that's why
I would say, like, ideally the prerequisite shouldn't really need to be there.
Yeah.
But I guess if you want to say that only experts or warriors would have the capacity to do this, then I guess it does make sense. But it's one of those things where I think it'd be better off without having that prerequisite. So
now we get to Epic Boon of Dimensional Travel, 20th level feat. Prerequisite Expert or Mage group, non-repeatable. You can cast the Misty Step spell without expending a spell slot. Once you use this benefit, you can't use it again until you roll initiative or finish a short or long rest. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's amazing. Being able to cast a 2nd level spell for free once a day isn't, like, very epic to me, personally. Epic.
I guess if you get a lot of combats, throughout the day,
That's true.
then I can see it. Like, let's say you're like a rogue, and you just want to one-shot something, make it dash in, cast Misty Step, and then, well, I don't know, Misty Step is a bonus action. Well, yeah, I guess it's pretty situational. Yeah, I don't think it's a very strong 20th level feat, but it will have its uses, but very rarely.
Cool. So now we're over to Epic Boon of Energy Resistance. You gain resistance to one of the following damage types: Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, Necrotic, Poison, Psychic, Radiant, or Thunder. Whenever you finish a short rest or long rest, you can meditate and change the damage type. That's pretty cool. Like, if you know that you're going into a battle against, a white dragon, and you know that it's going to be cold, right? It's going to be cold damage. That could be really cool. Epic Boon of Fortitude, no prerequisite. Your hit point maximum increases by 40. In addition, whenever you regain hit points, you regain additional hit points equal to your con modifier. You can regain hit points no more than once per round. That's insane.
Yeah, because any sorts of regeneration, really.
Yeah.
Will trigger that.
No more than once per round. So you can only regain. So if your con's 5, you can only do that basically once per battle round. So that's not amazing, but regaining, just getting 40 hit points. That's what, 4 to...
Looking at it from...
That's 4 to 8 levels, depending on how well you roll.
Yeah,
maybe even
and
more.
Thinking about it as a barbarian, all those hit points and the regain are have so much more value as well.
I think that that dwarf barbarian with sturdy, well, not sturdy, tough, with this epic boon, that's insane. That's awesome.
You're just literally biggest meat shield ever.
Yeah.
And as a barbarian, still be doing a whole bunch of damage. So
yeah. Epic boon of irresistible offense, prerequisite expert or warrior group. The damage you deal always ignores resistance. That's amazing. If I'm completely honest, if you're a warrior, why would you take combat prowess if you could take irresistible offense?
How often do classes in the expert or warrior group get different types of damage though, like fire damage? Because don't they normally just rely mainly on slashing, piercing,
yes, but most
damage?
Creatures resist non-magical piercing, slashing, bludgeoning.
But at 20th level though, you would at least have a magic item, is my thought.
I guess so, but I think having your damage always ignore it. If you've got a flaming sword or something, I think that would probably be worth it more than combat prowess.
It's in my head, right? Epic Boon of Irresistible Offense works when it works, right? Otherwise, it's not really a feat, but it's not ignoring resistance. But Epic Boon of Combat Prowess always works when you want it to work.
That's true.
So there's always a use for combat prowess, where sometimes irresistible offense isn't doing anything.
Cool.
But if it's a campaign which has a lot of enemies which have resistance, then yeah, I could see irresistible offense coming into use.
Okay. Epic Boon of Luck. Prerequisite Expert Group. Immediately after you roll a d20 for a d20 test, you can roll a d10 and add that number rolled to the test. You can use this. You can only use it once per short or long, or until you roll initiative. Okay. I think it's good. Do I think it's amazing? Not particularly. I think it's fine.
It's an alright thing. I would say.
Epic Boon.
It's still not a guarantee.
No, it's not.
Because a D10 you could still roll a 1 or a 2 and it doesn't do much.
Yeah. Epic Boon of the Night Spirit. Prerequisite Expert or Mage Group. While in dim light or darkness, you can become invisible as an action. You remain invisible until immediately after you make an action or reaction. That's insane. That's awesome.
It's really cool.
That's awesome. Epic Boon of Peerless Aim. Expert or Warrior Group. If you make a ranged attack against a target in range and miss, you can cause it to hit instead. So this is the same as Combat Prowess, but for range. Epic Boon of Recovery. No prerequisite. Non-repeatable. You can use a bonus action to regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. Once you use this benefit, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. In addition, you succeed on every death saving throw that isn't a roll on 1. That's madness. This is really good. Again, on that Dwarf Barbarian, basically you get brought to half health, you snap your fingers, you're back to full. That's insane. This is really, really good.
I think it's really cool. The part that I think is really cool is you can succeed on death saving throw that isn't a roll of 1.
Yep.
Which, unless you're very, very unlucky, your chances of survival are extremely, extremely
high. Epic Boon of Skill Proficiency. 20th level feat, no prerequisites, non-repeatable. You gain proficiency in all skills. That's pretty cool. Epic Boon of Speed, Expert Warrior Group. Expert or Warrior Group. Your speed increases by 30 feet. That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
That'd be
Barbarians
really...
are going to be zooming around.
Same for monks as well. Can you imagine monks now?
Yeah, but they're not in the Expert or Warrior Group, though.
They're in Warrior, I believe.
Are they not in a different one? Let's see.
Oh.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, they're in Warrior.
I would have thought they were going to be in the priest class group.
Cool.
I just had to see what monks turn into.
Oh my god, it's gonna be insane. Epic Boon of
They
Undetected.
were the other meme class.
Yeah, they were. Epic Boon of Undetectability. Prerequisite Expert Group. Non-repeatable. You can't be seen or heard by any means, magical or non-magical, while you are hidden. You just stop existing. Like the
It's literally the
This is object permanence. Basically, if you're hidden, you turn off object permanence for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's
like that one guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. What's his name?
Drax.
Correct. Yeah. You can't see me if I don't move.
Yeah. Epic Boon of the Unfettered, Expert or Warrior group, non-repeatable. As a bonus action, you can take the Disengage action, which also ends grappled and restrained conditions. Pretty cool. Depends on how often it comes up in the campaign, but pretty good overall.
Restraint conditions include magical restraints.
Yes, I guess theoretically that could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So now we get to fighting styles. Wait, are fighting styles feats now?
It looks like you can take them as first level feats.
You can take them as first level feats along with that. Okay, so fighting style. I'm just going to speedrun this because I think there's still quite a lot to go. Fighting style archery, +2 to attack rolls made with ranged weapons. Defense, you gain a +1 to your armor class. Dueling, +2 to damage rolls with melee weapons. Great weapon fighting. Has this changed? When you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack you make with a melee weapon, you are wielding with 2 hands. You can re-roll the die, and you must use the new roll if you roll a 1 or a 2. The weapon must have the two-handed or versatile property to gain this trait. So same as before. The protection fighting style. Immediately after a creature you can see makes an attack roll and it hits a creature other than you that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to interpose your shield and interpose a -2 penalty on the attack roll, potentially turning it into a miss. You must be wielding a shield to use that. I think that's pretty good. It's better than what it was before. Two-weapon fighting. When you make your extra attack with the light weapon, you can add your ability modifier to the damage, same as it was before. Back to 4th level feats now. Grappler. 4th level feat. Prerequisite strength or dex 13. You're an accomplished wrestler. Damn, I really want to play a luchador character. It'd be fun. You have advantage on attack rolls against a creature grappled by you. You aren't slowed when you move a creature grappled by you, provided the creature is your size or smaller. And when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as a part of an attack action on your turn, you can deal damage to the target and also grapple it. You can use this as benefit only once per turn. That's amazing. I'm just imagining, get over here, and just grabbing them and punching them in the face and then grabbing them by the neck. That's cool.
Yeah.
Great Weapon Master. Proficiency with any martial weapon. Non-repeatable. Increase your strength score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Immediately after you score a critical hit with a melee attack, melee weapon, or reduce a creature to 0 hit points with one, you can use one attack with the same weapon as a bonus action. Whoa, that's... So that means if you reduce a creature to 0 hit points, you can immediately stab them whilst they're prone, once they go down.
That's been a thing though.
I know, but Great Weapon Master lets you do that immediately. You can make a bonus action attack with the same weapon. That's pretty good. And Heavy Weapon Mastery. When you hit a creature with a heavy weapon as a part of the attack action on your turn, you can cause the weapon to do extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. It can only be dealt once per turn. Pretty good. Before it was, you take a -5 penalty to hit and you gain a +10 to your damage. But I think this is a nice trade-off.
It's also only once per turn though, as opposed to before, where I believe you can.
Yeah, you can do it on every weapon.
Attack.
Cool. So, now we have heavily armored, prerequisite medium armor training. Basically, you increase your con or strength by 1, and you gain heavy armor training. Heavy armor master. You can use your heavy armor to deflect strikes, granting you the following benefits. You can increase your con or strength by 1. And when you're hit by an attack while you're wearing heavy armor, any bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage dealt to you is reduced by an amount equal to your proficiency bonus. Now, once you're at like a high level, like decreasing damage by 2 to 6, across a character, that's amazing. This is going to have big effects, especially if you're like more of a tanky class. So overall, I think that's pretty good. Oh, did you want to take over reading for a bit? My throat's getting a little bit dry.
Sure. Let's see, we have a lot to go. Oh, actually, no. It's because the rest is just the spell list. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure exactly how much it is. Let's see. Inspiring Leader. So Inspiring Leader, prerequisite of Wisdom or Charisma as a 13+, not repeatable, and you get an ability score increase, increasing your Wisdom or Charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. And you also get Encouraging Performance. At the end of a short rest or long rest, you can give an inspiring performance, speech, a song, or a dance. And when you do so, you can choose up to 6 friendly creatures, which can include yourself, within 30 feet of you who witness the performance, and the chosen creatures each gain temporary hit points equal to 2d4 plus your proficiency bonus. I think, personally, that this is a really good feat, because 2d4 plus your proficiency bonus as temporary hit points is like healing word, right? Which is a 1d4. So now you get a 2d4 and the proficiency bonus. And I personally think that temporary hit points are more useful than healing. Because
I think
you
it
already
depends
have
on
them.
the circumstance.
I don't think that healing isn't useful, but I think having 2d4 plus proficiency bonus to everyone, to 6 friendly creatures, and having that prepared beforehand is quite useful.
The issue with temporary hit points is they don't stack.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just like cast a bunch of spells that give you temporary hit points and have them all stack up to 20 or 30 temporary hit points. So I think having them is good, like going into a fight, but I think once you're in a fight, healing is much better overall.
And I think it does also depend on the group, because if you have like a well-balanced group where you have like spellcasters, creating unstable terrain for the enemies where they're being locked down and everything's coordinated, I think that's where like temporary hit points and not having to heal comes into handy. But if you are more just like a scrappy, get in there, let's fight, people are getting hit, then I think healing is the way to go. Keen Mind. Intelligence prerequisite of 13+, non-repeatable. Once again, you get that ability score increase of intelligence +1. And you can then get lore knowledge. Choose one of the following skills: Arcana, History, Investigation, Nature, or Religion. And if you lack proficiency in the chosen skill, you gain proficiency in it. And if you have proficiency in it, you gain expertise. And then you get quick study. You can take the study action as a bonus action.
Damn, you just flick through a book and just absorb all of it.
Yeah, this is actually similar to the skilled feat from before, but it only applies to certain skills, and it increases only your intelligence. But it also gives you then the study action as a bonus action. So I took skilled as Karen, and I think the equivalent to taking that would be Keen Mind, D&D 1. And I'm curious on what the study action is.
Yeah, we'll have to see later on.
I like this. It gives you, for people who want to be the lore uncoverers of your campaign, this seems like the thing. And then moving on to Lightly Armored. No prerequisites, first level feat, non-repeatable. You gain the following armor training: light armor, medium armor, and shield. Cool. And Mage Slayer, fourth level feat, no prerequisites, or just a proficiency with any martial weapon. Non-repeatable. You get the ability score increase, either strength or dex. You get concentration breaker. When you damage a creature that is concentrating and has disadvantage on the saving throw it makes to maintain concentration.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
That's carried over from. I believe that's carried over from 5e, where they get disadvantage whenever they take damage. Guarded Mind. If you fail intelligence, a wisdom, or charisma saving throw, you can cause yourself to succeed instead. Once you use this benefit, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Let's see, is that one? Because I believe that Mage Slayer used to have you can take on reaction. Yes, but if a creature within 5 feet, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack. But it seems like that gone and replaced with Guarded Mind.
Yeah. Ooh. This is pretty interesting because this gives you kind of like a legendary resistance almost.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I wonder if I like that better than the reaction.
I prefer the reaction hit, personally.
Yeah. I think I prefer the reaction hit. But I can also see how this one is also useful. Maybe. Well, it is useful. But I think I still prefer the reaction hit. Okay, and then Medium Armor Master. Prerequisite is Medium Armor Training. You get the ability score increase, Strength of Dex to 1. You get Dexterous Rare. While you're wearing medium armor, you can add a 3 rather than 2 to your AC if you have a dexterity score of 16 or higher.
That's pretty good.
The same as before. Yeah. Mounted Combatant. Proficiency with any martial weapon is your prerequisite. You get Pulse Strike. Immediately after you take the attack action and attack with that weapon that has the heavy and reach properties, you can use the bonus action to make a melee attack with the opposite end of the weapon. The weapons for this damage does a d4 and deals bludgeoning damage. This is
you've skipped to Polearm Master. You've skipped, yeah.
Oh yeah, I did it again. Yeah, okay. Scratch that. I did the same mistake I did before where I just kept on scrolling down. So you increase your strength, dexterity, or wisdom by 1. Mount Handler. You have advantage on wisdom checks, animal handling. You need to handle or train horses and other beasts employed as mounts. Mounted Strike. While mounted, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that is within 5 feet of your mount and at least one size smaller than it. Get Leap Aside. If your mount is subjected to an effect that allows it to make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, it instead takes no damage if it succeeds on the saving throw, but only half damage if it fails. For your mount to gain this benefit, you must be riding it, and neither of you can be incapacitated. You also get Veer. While mounted, you can use your reaction to force an attack that hits your mount to hit you instead.
Oh, that's cute.
I
like this. I also like how it opens it up to more than just horses.
Yeah. This will be the feat I take when I decide to play Verdun D&D 1. Observant. Prerequisite Intelligent Wisdom with 13. Non-repeatable. Get your ability score increase with Intelligence or Wisdom score by 1. Get Keen Observer. Choose one of the following skills: Insight, Investigation, or Perception. If you lack proficiency in the chosen skills, you gain proficiency. If you have proficiency, you gain expertise. I like that. You can take the search action as a bonus action.
I think this is going to be really useful.
Yes. It's much better than before. Because before you only had +5 to your passive wisdom, perception, and passive intelligence scores. And if you were looking at a creature's mouth while it's speaking language, you can interpret what it's saying by reading its lips. I think this is... I would say this is better. And then Polearm Master.
Now we hit.
Let's see, have they changed this? Yes. So proficiency with any martial weapon. Increase your strength score by 1. You get pull strike, which is immediately after you take your attack action, you can attack with a weapon that has the heavy and reach properties, using a bonus action to make that melee attack using the opposite end of the weapon. You get a d4 for that attack, and it deals bludgeoning damage. And while you're holding a weapon that has the heavy and reach properties, you use your reaction to make one melee attack against a creature that enters the reach you have with that weapon.
Pretty cool.
I believe it's unchanged. Then they added the ability score increase. I think correctly. Next is resilient. No prerequisites, non-repeatable. Choose one ability in which you like saving throw proficiency, increase the ability score by 1 to maximum 20, and then you gain saving throw proficiency of your chosen ability. Still the same as before. Ritual caster. Prerequisite intelligence, wisdom, or charisma 13 plus. Ability score increase of either intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1. And then you get ritual spells. You get to choose 2 first level spells that have the ritual tag from either the arcane, divine, and primal spell lists. You always have them prepared. You can cast them with any spell slots that you have. And the spellcasting ability is the ability increased by this feat.
I think this is unchanged. I'm pretty sure this is the same as before.
Yeah. And then quick ritual. With this benefit, you can cast a ritual spell that you're prepared using its regular casting time rather than the extended time for a ritual. Doing so doesn't require a spell slot. Once you cast the spell in this way, you can't use this benefit again until after you finish a long rest. Cool. Sentinel.
Okay.
Proficiency with any martial weapon. Non-repeatable. Get the ASI increase of either strength or dex. And you get Guardian. Immediately after a creature within 5 feet of you takes the disengage action or it hits the target other than you with an attack, you can make an opportunity attack against that creature. Is that changed?
I think it's pretty much the same. It's reworded differently, but it's the same.
Because now it says immediately when a creature within 5 feet of you takes the disengage action. Because before, was it not based on your weapon's range?
Yes, it was. So you can't no longer keep them within 10 feet of you.
Yeah. So now you can't do that Sentinel pull-on.
Well, actually you can, because if you look at the next one, Hold. When you hit a character with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0. It doesn't matter whether it's within 5 feet.
That's true.
Because the polearm gives you a reach of 10 feet, so you can still do that fuckery.
But they can now disengage.
Yeah, so if they disengage within 5 feet of you, you can bonk them. But if they use disengage when they're within 10 feet of you, they can run away. Right?
I still think it's super strong.
Still amazing. Still amazing.
Yeah. Sharpshooter. Proficiency with any martial weapon. You get the ability score increase, dexterity by 1. You get bypass cover. Your ranged attacks with weapons ignore half cover and 3/4 cover. Firing and melee. Being within 5 feet of an enemy doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attack rolls with weapons. And attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged attack with weapons.
So this is pretty much the same, except it doesn't deal extra damage anymore.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Do they have, because they have Crossbow Expert, do they have Bow Expert? Or is
I don't believe so.
Sharpshooter the equivalent?
I think Sharpshooter is the equivalent.
Shieldmaster. Prerequisite shield training, non-repeatable. They get the ASI increase, strength +1. You get shield bash. If you attack a creature within 5 feet of you as part of the attack action hit with a melee weapon, you immediately bash the target with your shield. If it's equipped, forcing the target to make a strength throw against a DC of 8 plus your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus. On a failed save, you can knock the target prone or push it 5 feet away. Use this benefit only once on each of your turns. don't know if this is the same, but I do like this actually.
I think this is
And
pretty
you also
much
get-
the same.
I like how it's a part of a B tag action. I don't know if that was how it was before. And you get Interpost Shield. If you are subjected to an effect that allows you to make dexterity saving throw to take only half damage, you can use your reaction to take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw and are wielding a shield, deposing your shield between yourself and the source of the effect.
That's pretty cool.
Next is Skulker. Prerequisite dexterity of 13 plus. You get an ASI increase of dexterity +1. You get blindside within a range of 10 feet. You get Fog of War, exploding the distractions of battle. You have advantage on any dexterity check, stealth, you make as part of the hide action during combat. You also get Sniper. If you make an attack roll while hidden and the roll misses, making the attack roll doesn't end the hidden condition on you.
Oh, that's
cool.
good. That's really good.
Yes. You got a built-in silencer for your weapons.
That's amazing. Speedster. This is new.
Yeah. Prerequisite dexterity constitution 13 plus. You get an ASI increase of dexterity constitution +1. You get speed increase. Your speed increases by 10 feet while you're wearing heavy armor. And you get dash over difficult terrain. When you take the dash action on your turn, difficult terrain doesn't cost you extra movement for the rest of that turn.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I wonder who this would benefit though, because I know that the speeds have been kind of equalized to around 30 feet for everyone. And if you're a monk or a barbarian with already high speeds, is there really any benefit to getting 10 more feet of speed?
I think this is definitely underpowered compared to the other feats.
Yeah. And you get dash over to difficult terrain, which can be useful, but yeah, I just don't know where this feat would be chosen over something else. So then moving over to Spell Sniper, prerequisite being you have to have spellcasting or a pack magic feature, which I don't see why you'd take it if you didn't have any of those. But you get the ability score increase, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1. You get bypass cover. Your attack rolls for spells ignore half cover and 3/4 cover. You'll be able to cast in melee. Being within 5 feet of an enemy doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls with spells. And you get increased range. When you cast a spell that has a range of at least 10 feet and that requires you to make an attack roll, you can increase the spell's range by 60 feet.
Damn, that's really good. That's really
interesting.
Cool.
Is okay.
Whoa!
You need to think about
Thunderclap.
This. Does Green Flame Blade, those weapon kind of spell cantrips, are those applicable to this?
Yeah, it's a spell.
If you have so if you have like a halberd with and cast like Boon Blade or Green Flame Blade.
Green Flame Blade's no, because its range is melee, right? It's not 10 feet, right? The spell itself's range is melee, and just because your weapon's range is 10 feet does not mean that the spell has a range of 10 feet. So no, that wouldn't count.
Okay.
The secondary effect of Green Flame Blade would increase from 10 feet to 60 feet. So where the flame jumps.
Oh.
So that would increase the secondary effect, not the primary effect though. That'd be amazing if you could just set your sword aflame and then hit somebody completely across the map.
Yeah. And that is really good. Like, let's say you're fighting the front line, you can still hit the backline archers and mages that are still 60 feet away. So that is really cool. As like Hexblade Warlock or something equivalent, I could see that being pretty useful. Warcaster, you need to have spellcasting and pack magic features as a prerequisite. You get the ASI increase of intelligence, wisdom, or charisma by 1. You also get concentration. You have advantage on constitution saving throws that allow you to maintain your concentration. You get reactive spell. When a creature provokes an opportunity attack from you by moving out of your reach, You can use your reaction to cast a spell at the creature rather than making an opportunity attack. The spell must have a casting time of 1 action and must target only that creature. When you get somatic components, you can perform the somatic components of spells even when you have weapons or shield in one or both hands. Looks pretty much the same to me.
Yep, I think it is
weapon
pretty much the
training.
same.
Yeah. I think it's only the ASI increase that's new, but that's to everything. You get weapon training is your next feat. No prerequisites, non-repeatable. Increase your strength and dexterity score by a maximum of 1, or to a maximum of 20 by 1. You gain martial weapon proficiency. I never really understood why people would take these feats. Do you have a reasoning on why people would take?
There are some builds that like require you to basically invest so heavily into a class that you can't multi-class. You don't have the time to multi-class somewhere else, right? Like if you have a build for a melee wizard, right, but you need to hit level 20 for everything to work, right? This might be worth taking a feat as opposed to multi-classing, so you don't ruin basically you have full access to spells. But I don't really see much point overall, unless you're going for something really specific.
Yeah. I guess the option exists out there if you need to. But yeah. Probably some very niche builds that would have this.
Yeah. Cool. So that's it for these ones. We've just got the spell lists now.
Yeah. Which I don't know if we have to go through.
I don't think we should go through them.
Because we also don't have any descriptions for them. So
yes, we don't know if any spells have changed.
We just know the names.
So I think we'll leave it for tonight. Or I guess for this morning, I guess. Any closing notes, you may?
So looking at this, I am very excited to potentially start building character. But the ones I'm really interested in seeing are Monk in the future, because I know in the same vein as Rangers, monks have been very memed upon. They've had their uses, I would say. I think monks are good, but I still think that fighters, barbarians, paladins have kind of made the monks seem like a subpar to each of those classes in terms of what monks are capable of. So I'm very curious on how they can make a person who, if you think about it, goes into battle with no armor, with just their fists. It's like, hey man, I'm gonna mess you up. I want to see how they make that class into what that image, actually is. So I'm very curious about that.
But yeah, we will be back maybe next week. I don't know when they're gonna release the next one, but we'll be back at some point. We might have Wisdom Check next week, and we might go through building one of these expert class characters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exciting.
Amazing. Well, that's been us here from VTuber Tabletop. Yume, you want to plug yourself quickly?
Hi everyone, this has been Yume here. If you want to see what I do, which is write books and recite poetry, you guys can hop on my Twitter to see the links to the books that I've published, and you guys can buy them. And expect some more content in the future, either on my YouTube or through the websites where I publish my books. So go check them out.
Amazing. I am your humble dungeon wizard, Merlin the Magister. You'll find me here. We've got D&D this Saturday at basically, well, not this time exactly, but an hour before whatever time you're watching this, if you're watching it live, which is 10 a.m. Eastern, what is it, Eastern time? Eastern Standard Time? What is it for you, Yume?
Yep, EST.
EST. 10 a.m. EST.
Yes.
Oh my. 3 p.m. British time. And 10 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. Or West Australian Standard Time, WASD. So yeah, so that's been us. Catch us on Saturday for Heralds, which we got some big stuff cooking. Adam is back. There's a dragon on the loose. Lots coming along. So, thank you for watching, everybody, and thank you to our YouTube viewers who are here for our first YouTube live stream on that side. We have been VTuber Tabletop, and we'll see you on the... Oh my god, we'll see you on the other side. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.